Are you a perfectionist? Do you over obsess about details? Do you go over what you do over and over and over again and you can never seem to go forward? If that sounds like you, you're probably wasting time. A lot of times we feel like things have to be so perfect before we move forward, and they feel like, it just has to be stellar or spectacular or amazing. But that is not the case. Oftentimes we place unnecessary standards on what God gives us to do. We set unrealistic expectations and we pressure ourselves into producing something that is outside of the realm of what we're capable of doing. And sometimes we're doing really amazing, exceptional work, and people even let us know that. But because we don't value anything we produce, we always assume that we're not doing good enough. That it's not what it should be. We're not where we need to be. So I don't want you to over obsess about obscure details. Focus on what bears fruit and focus on what is going to help you make the impact that you want to make. If you are always trying to be perfect, so to speak, right, you don't have room to learn, you don't have room to make mistakes, and you don't have room to grow. And so it's important that you don't overextend yourself by trying to be in a position and trying to display capabilities that you may or may not have, or things that are simply not necessary for what you're doing. So often perfectionism gets in the way of productivity. And if your habits of being a perfectionist is hindering you from actually, finishing your book, producing your product, going forward in your ministry, doing what God is calling you to do, then it's time for a change, right? You can't keep doing the same thing and expect to get different results. So ultimately, if we are to be productive and we are to be fruitful, we have to be able to step back and look at the bigger picture. And sometimes that takes help from someone else. So if you want to save time, don't obsess over small details. Don't obsess over things that aren't really taking you anywhere. Focus in on what you need to focus in so that you can move to the next step, and be okay with having quality and having the fruit that you need. Um, Often, sometimes we try to be perfectionists because of what we think other people will think about us and what we think people want to see. But the reality of the matter is, people want what is going to help them. People want what's going to strengthen them. People want what is going to, solve their problems. So if you wait until you're perfect at your craft to begin to do your craft, then you're never going to do your craft. Because whether you're a world-class expert or a thriving novice, you're never going to be able to be perfect, because there's always going to be more to learn and more areas to improve on and grow on and develop. So be okay with being a work in progress, because the more you work, the more progress you'll make and the higher your quality will become. But don't allow yourself to be stuck in the perfectionist trap where you never go on to another phase because you're worried about how imperfect you are. Let God cover your imperfections by His grace and His love so that you can focus on mastering your time so that you can manage your destiny.